Next, it's New York Blockchain Week. We have Perianne Boring with us. She's here to tell us more about it. She's the founder and president of the Chamber of Digital Commerce, one of the world's largest trade associations representing the blockchain industry. How you doing?
Awesome. A little tired. It's been a crazy week. It's only Tuesday, but so excited to be here and excited to be in New York for this important week.
So, for people who don't know what blockchain is, it's the next biggest thing, in technology.
It is the biggest thing.
So, do you ever have to explain it? Like, how would you explain it to your great aunt? What do you do?
I get asked this a lot. I think the easiest, simplest way to break down blockchain technology, the way I look at it, is the next layer of the internet 2.0, or the internet of value. So the internet was created to be a communications piece of infrastructure, a way to share messages. Think email, send a simple message online, peer-to-peer, instantly for free. The internet's not a great medium to share things of value, money, assets, and we know this because of the trillions of dollars worth of cyber attacks that happen online every single year. So blockchain technology provides a secure infrastructure to share value.
I actually have a question. So I'm in the real estate development industry, and I see blockchain and crypto pop up quite frequently without really knowing the application of it in my industry. Is that something you'll start to see in real estate?
Absolutely. And I would argue that blockchain technology could impact every areas of business and transactions and even society. So just as you can send, so the first app for blockchain was Bitcoin currency, send money back and forth instantly, peer-to-peer, basically for free. But any type of asset, tangible or intangible, could be represented in a token form on a blockchain and tracked and traded. And a token could represent real estate or the title to your house. So think of things like title insurance.
Sure.
This is a very big and popular and kind of low-hanging fruit use case for blockchain technology. So blockchain is an immutable ledger, and it cannot be altered and it cannot be changed. So in real estate, especially in places around the world where they don't have the same type of infrastructure that we have in the United States, where you can prove who owns the land or proves who owns a plot of real estate, if that was hashed into this immutable ledger, there'd be no question of who owns it. Does a person in the private sector own it? Does the government own it? It would be there for all to see in a very transparent and open way.
That's a major issue around the world, too. Because
in a lot of developing nations, absolutely.
Yeah. So how'd you get into this?
So I used to work on Capitol Hill. I worked for a member of the Financial Services Committee, and I'm an economist, and so I had just a simple meeting where someone came in and told our office about this new Bitcoin digital currency that was not owned or controlled by a government entity. And for me, as an economist, that was a very fascinating concept.
When did you first hear about this?
So this was around 2011. I used to...
Well, it's been a while.
It's been, yeah. I was fortunate in that I did have... I was introduced to the technology early. And it's been an amazing past several years, but learning that there's a currency that's not controlled by the government, I thought that was interesting. Studied it a little bit more deeply. I studied it on my own for almost 3 years before I was even comfortable really talking about it in a public way. But over time, I came to the realization that this is the most important technology I will ever see in my lifetime, and I've got to be involved in the industry. And that's when I founded the Chamber of Digital Commerce. So I represent a nonprofit, and we help work with governments to help them understand this technology and make sure that they have the resources they need to do their jobs as regulators and as policymakers.
Do people sometimes like, you're a lady in technology, when you show up, they're like, you're the president of the Chamber of Commerce here?
Why would that even be a question?
Yeah, I don't know. In tech, you go to tech conferences and it's like 85% men.
It is a lot of dudes, yeah. I grew up with two brothers, so I'm used to it.
I have a question here. So you mentioned the government and blockchain. And of course, one thing that the detractors of crypto mention is that the government isn't backing it, and as you mentioned that as well. Is that a strength, or will that become a challenge in the future? What do you think?
So Bitcoin was the first ever blockchain. It was released open source, so the code was released in a public way to where anyone could copy it, paste it, participate in the network, and innovate on top of it. So I think it is probably the greatest gift that Satoshi Nakamoto gave to the world, is the fact that he gave it away for free.
Was he a real person? Did we ever really discover who he was?
So the creator, the the inventor of Bitcoin is anonymous. It may be a woman, we don't know. It may be a group of people. But the whole point is that you trust the math. At the end of the day, blockchain comes down to algorithms.
And there's a limited supply, correct?
There's a limited supply, yeah. And if you don't believe it, you can test the math. You can look at the cryptography and you can test it out. And people have for almost 10 years.
Cryptography. But at the end of the day, this is what I'm thinking. If the government isn't behind it, will they get in the way or will they support it?
Well, I mean, we work with governments around the world, and absolutely, there are some of the world's biggest industrialized nations are looking at how to issue their own currencies, sovereign fiat currencies on blockchain technology. This is absolutely happening. Our lives are going to be changed and impacted for blockchain, with blockchain, and for good.
It's going to be a lot more efficient, isn't it? Our
It will
world is going
create
to be
a lot of efficiencies because now you can move assets without the need for any type of intermediary, any type of third party. And it's the first time in the world that we actually have this technology. It's very empowering. As an individual, you can own and control your own information. So like this morning, I had to go to the ATM to pay my my hairdresser. And there was a $200 limit on my money. I couldn't even pay the hairdresser because I couldn't get enough cash out of the ATM because there was some arbitrary
hair there,
limit. It was for a week's worth of events and festivities.
Oh, I got it. Yeah.
But it shouldn't matter. If it's my money, why don't I have control of it? With Bitcoin, you actually own and control your assets, and you get to decide where they sit and who has access to them. So the paradigm that we currently have in the financial system is completely turned on its head, and we have a new financial system now that I argue is more efficient, cheaper, more transparent, more ethical.
Well, I'm really excited about the technology, and I'm a big fan. But if you heard me talking earlier, I wouldn't put my own money in Bitcoin because the valuations are all over the place.
On a day-to-day basis, Bitcoin is somewhat volatile. It is leveling off. This technology is less than 10 years old. Okay, it's hasn't had a lot of time to develop. We're still building the roads and the pipes and the plumbing and the infrastructure for blockchain technology. But on a year-to-year basis, it's increasing by thousands of a percent. So when I first got into Bitcoin, the price was around $13. And today it's at almost $9,000.
Wow.
So in the long run, so if you're thinking on a day-to-day basis, if you just have this profit-seeking mechanism, there is volatility. But if you're truly invested in it for the long run, we're actually doing very well.
So did you take some of that and buy a house or anything like that?
I've not bought a house yet. I prefer to keep my money in crypto because I believe it's going to keep going up, and I don't need to.
So if I'm on the sidelines and I'm considering investing in crypto, would you recommend that investment?
First off, I can't give investment advice.
Okay.
That's not what my license is. I don't have the ability to do that. But what I do recommend is first, don't put any money in crypto that you can't afford to lose. That's the first rule. Second, don't invest in things you don't understand. If you don't get it, don't educate yourself. But I do recommend trying it out. Put in $5 in Bitcoin. Put in $10 in Bitcoin. Get your hands wet with the technology. Touch the technology. And once you start understanding it better, and then when you feel comfortable, then you can decide how much of your net worth is reasonable to put in. I will say the mass majority of my net worth is in crypto.
Wow, that sounds super risky to me. Have you talked to an investment advisor about something?
I know, because they wouldn't give me the right advice. But I've been studying the technology for quite some time, and I'm feeling great.
And you're really that bullish about it? You think it's going to continue to rise and thrive?
I've bet my entire life and my entire career on this. Absolutely, I'm 110% in.
110%.
Bold statement. I like it.
She's a bold lady. So
I like
you're in New York all week for Blockchain Week,
Yes,
correct?
yes.
Are you excited about the rest of the week? Your hair's been settled, I guess.
On point, right? So it's a big week. So there's dozens of events going on this week, but the main one's called Consensus. It's a big conference. They have over 8,500 people around the world.
It's at the Hilton in Midtown?
It's in Midtown. So I was just in Dubai 2 weeks ago for what was the largest blockchain event in the world. The Crown Prince of Dubai came. Dubai is completely blockchain enabling their entire government. They're in the process of putting all government transactions on a blockchain. So I was in Dubai 2 weeks ago. At the time, it was the largest blockchain event in the world. They had 6,000 attendees. 2 weeks later, we're in New York. We're at 8,500 attendees. So it's really this technology is catching on. People are excited. People are passionate. People are showing up. I went to the first ever Bitcoin conference in March of 2013 in San Jose. I was the only person that showed up with the camera. I was documenting what was going on. From there, where we were in 2013 to today, is just a huge difference. So as someone who's been following this on a day-to-day basis for over 5 years, I can tell you that this technology is here to stay, and it will make an impact in our daily lives.
Well, Perianne, fascinating.
Very.
I'm going to follow you now.
Great.
And when the conference is at 85,000, you'll still be among them, won't you?
We'll probably be soon that we get there. I feel like we've grown out of New York. I mean, the conference is busting out of the scenes. They're past capacity, so there's no telling where it'll take us next.
Absolutely. Well, good luck on the rest of this week.
stuff.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.